Hey there, Dr. Rick Marks with Relate Well, back at you with another topic to talk about what are some of the benefits of seeking couples counseling. There's a lot of folks out there talking about the benefits, the good, the bad, the indifferent of couples counseling. Does it work? Does it not work? And yes, there is some research that indicates that traditional marriage counseling increases divorce risk. I get that. However, let's not throw the whole thing out just because it's on some level doesn't work for in some ways, in some cases. There are benefits to it, and we'll talk about what those are, and we'll talk about why pursuing help is a very positive thing to do. One thing I've learned in my life, and particularly around the issue of living life as a way of being. What I mean by that is who I want to be as a way of being. We in Relate Well, they operate around four traits. In other words, to how to live our lives. We believe if you live a life of, here we go, goodwill, that everything I do is about goodwill. It seeks to, I don't seek to hurt you, harm you, negate you, or tear you down. No matter what I do, I'm going to do those things because I care about you. I care about us, the relationship. And no matter what I do, I'm going to seek to build you up. To treat people with ill will, to tear them down and invalidate, disregard, it's ill will. If you want to sow discord, you're going to reap discord. If you sow anger, you reap anger. In the personal development field, it's the idea of the law of attraction, that angry people just attract angry people. Discord just attracts discord, you see? So I want to treat you with goodwill. Secondly, I always want to make sure that I treat my partner with respect, you see. Whenever you respect another person, you don't control them, you don't manipulate them, you honor their thoughts and feelings. You don't interrupt when they're talking. It's disrespectful to interrupt someone when they're talking. So we believe you live your life by goodwill, respect. Third, you live your life by empathy, caring how it is for another person. Just because I care how it is for you doesn't mean I necessarily agree with you. All right. We can reach an understanding of compassion and care for each other's perspectives, but that does not mean I necessarily agree with your perspective. And the fourth word we want people to live by is humility. Now, you can't live a life of goodwill, respect, and empathy, care, without humility, because pride will undo the other three. Pride says, no, I'm important, you are not. Pride says, I'm important, us is not. And if you want to live that way, feel free. But living the opposite of those four traits, what we call the four protectors of an us, when you live a life of goodwill, respect, humility, and empathy, you're always protecting your relationship. What you're really saying is, I want to be a healthy, mature person so I can create a healthy, mature sense of us. You don't end up in a counseling office. All right. However, when we're not living life the way we should, and you get stuck and we're not sure what to do to get the love back, that old song by the Righteous Brothers, you've lost that love and feeling, and you've tried to do what you know to do, and what you're doing isn't work. And that's the thing that I've learned is most people don't know what to do different. They don't know what they don't know. And so if you don't know what to do different, then you can't do the difference that creates the difference, you see? And so when you go to a counselor, they can give you all the information and insights to the past. But here's the question. If I keep coming to your office for an hour, Dr. Rick, and all you do is give me insights into why I am the way I am and how I got to where I'm at. But when I leave your office and I go home waiting for the next appointment 6 days later, what am I doing different? And the answer usually is nothing. Why? Because the counselor didn't teach you what to do different. You don't know what you don't know. Most people don't know that they don't know how to communicate. They don't know that they don't know how to solve problems. They don't know that they don't know they're controlling. They don't know that they know they're manipulative. You may find that difficult, but the fundamental concept of emotional intelligence is self-awareness. And most people are not self-aware. I remember reading some data early last year, and it was interesting. Don't quote me to the numbers, but I'm in range. The national data suggested that 78% of Americans report they're self-aware, but in reality, only about 26% actually are. And I thought that was kind of comical. I thought, well, that's interesting. Most people aren't self-aware to know that they're not self-aware. And yet self-awareness is a key component to being healthy, mature adults, right? You can't have self-control, which is the second one, if you're not self-aware. Self-awareness is fundamental. Once I know who I am in a moment and what I'm doing, and I'm aware that I'm doing it, only then can I stop myself from doing it, you see? And so when you're living in a relationship where there's a lot of struggles and hurts and pains, a lot of couples try and solve the problem on their own. But you only know what you know, and you know what to do, you know what to do, and you don't know what to do different, and you got to move to humility. You go, I don't know how to solve this. I don't know how to fix this. I go, great. Find someone who does. And you go to marriage counseling. Now, traditional marriage counseling gives you a lot of insight into how you got to where you are. They look at your past. They have you spend a lot of time looking back. But here's what my mentors taught me. If a couple does not know what to do different, they can't create the difference. Rick, you've got to help couples know how to communicate, know how to emotionally regulate, know how to solve problems, know how to bond and connect. Most people don't know how to bond and connect because they never got it when they were growing up. You don't know what you don't know. And so there are benefits in couples counseling, not just throwing it away, but it's a very particular kind that creates benefits. So I want to talk about what are some of the benefits of couples counseling that that you can find a value for your investment. And let's be honest. If you're spending money, you're looking for it to work, right? You're looking for it to help. I cannot tell you the number of times that I've had people in my office for counseling who have told me they went to a marriage counselor, and over 3 or 4 sessions, the counselor said, this is unfixable. Y'all just need a divorce. And they were bothered by that. I've actually met people who came to me to save their marriage who had prior marriages who said, you know what? If I'd known what I know now, Dr. Marks, I think my first marriage could have been saved, but my therapist told me it was not salvageable. And because my therapist told me it wasn't salvageable, I believed him or her, agreed with them, and I threw it away. Yeah. You know, Bill Doherty out of the University of Minnesota, he's like a Sigmund Freud in the field of marriage family therapy. Brilliant man, great mind. Now he's at that level of expertise that I'm not, right? So he's way up here. So he can say things that someone like me would probably get castigated for saying. But he coined a term many years ago, and the term was therapist-assisted marital suicide. Therapist-assisted marital suicide. His research shows that many therapists are leading to the high divorce risk of those in counseling because many of them are pro-divorce. And because they're pro-divorce, they recommend divorce when they think something can't be solved. Now, it's my personal contention that if you come to me, then we're here to try and save something if it can be saved. And I admit that I'm not one of those who believes every marriage can be saved. I think that's an ideal. It's not the real world. But I do know this, if 2 people are willing to live for us and not for themselves, then it becomes a possibility. And yes, I recognize it takes 2 to make a marriage and 1 to kill it. Our world, it takes 2 to make an us and 1 to kill an us. Both of you have to value the relationship. We say this way as well. Marriage is giving you the I for the we. If you don't want to be a we, why get married? Stay single. Because you're going to live for yourself. You see, living for yourself, I don't know if you've noticed, but living for yourself is pretty normal. You don't have to think about it. It's kind of the primal brain, that animal brain back here. It just lives for itself. To live for something bigger than yourself, to live for something more meaningful, i.e. a family, a marriage, another person. That takes maturity, it takes self-control, it takes self-awareness, it takes a very different way of living. It means that I don't value me, I value us. But here's the great thing. When you live for us, you're actually living for you because it takes 2 to make an us and 1 to kill it. So by living for us, you are doing what you want to do because you understand that I am a part of the equation of us. And by living for us, I give to my wife, who's named Luella, I give to Luella. And when her and I both win, us wins. If I give to us and Luella does not, we're not going to have that us. And so one of the things that marriage counseling does, it can allow couples the space to explore where their individualness is getting in the way of building an us. All right, it allows that exploration. But here in my mind are the big benefits of couple counseling. All right, number one, couples counseling allows a couple to go into a situation and meet with an objective third party. But if the third party, that counselor, doesn't take sides, and they're not supposed to, by the way, all right, the only time you take a side is when one person basically says, it's going to be my way. Well, then you're putting the therapist to have to choose a side, because what you're really saying is, I don't care about us, I care about me. Great, then go care about you. If there's alcohol, drug abuse, severe alcohol, drug abuse, or violence, you're putting the counselor in a position to have to choose a side, and they will and should in those situations. But for normal issues, the counselor wants to stay objective and help the couple build an us. All right. And so in order to do that, you have to recognize that though there's many issues out there, each of you, the spouses, have different perspectives about that issue. And counseling allows the couple to explore each other's perspectives. This is very important. This is very, very important for you to understand. Get this down real. We'll say it slow so you get it, not because you're dumb. I want to say it slow so that I know I'm going, so I can articulate it accurately. Americans don't value sharing and embracing another person's perspective to understand it. When two perspectives come together, that creates a relation. What we value is being right or wrong. My perspective versus your perspective. I'm right, you're wrong. Well, could it be that what you do are just two different perspectives of one issue? And maybe both of your perspectives are right based on your perspective. But what you don't get is your perspective is right, her perspective is right. If you put these perspectives together, that creates understanding of the issue for both of you, so you can communicate about it and solve it in a way that builds the relationship. But what usually happens is I don't value your perspective, but I promise you're going to value mine. It's like the left eye can never actually see what the right eye sees. In other words, the left eye can never see from here to here, right? The right eye can never see from here to here. All right. So the left eye and the right eye will never see the same thing. But if you put those two pieces, you put the left eye and the right eye together in terms of what they see, the brain does something interesting with that. When the left eye and the right eye, what they see, communicate together in the brain creates a whole new way of seeing the world, because the brain now allows you to see in 3 dimensions. But one eye only allows you to see in 2 dimensions. So I find that fascinating, that when information comes in from the left eye and information comes in from the right eye, the brain doesn't combine those things. It actually creates a new way of looking at the world, because you get to see in 3D. Relationships are the same way. I may have a perspective. Let's say here's an issue, this pen right here. I may have a perspective, but Lou will have a perspective. Our perspectives are different. But if we listen to each other's perspectives, now we have understanding of the issue. And only then can we talk about solving it, once we understand it. You see, what usually happens is left eye says to right eye, I don't care what you see, but you will see what I see. And when you want to live that way, feel free, but you understand what you're really saying is, I don't value your perspective. I value my perspective, though. One of the benefits of counseling is it allows a couple to come together, and they both get to share their perspective. And this is key. Both of their perspectives are going to be honored and valued. It's going to be honored and valued. But here's the key. I don't necessarily have to agree with you. Did you get that? I don't have to agree with you. Example. My wife does not want a dog really bad. I want a dog really bad. We have 2 different perspectives of dogs, and those come based off of our history and experiences with animals growing up. But we have learned that we would rather have the relationship than agree about a dog, though we still disagree about a dog to this day at 37 years of marriage. Makes sense? And so counseling allows the couple to come together, hear each other's perspective, perspective about the issues, and they get to honor each other's perspective. They don't have to what? Agree. But it is important that we put the perspectives together to gain understanding. That's one of the great benefits of counseling, is that you have a neutral third party who can honor both your perspectives and get you to listen to each other's perspectives, not so you agree, so you can care. So you can care how it is for your partner. I can care that this is the way it is for you. I don't necessarily agree with that. But when you send the message, I don't agree and I don't care, in that moment, you just threw the relationship away. All right. And so one of the benefits of counseling, it increases understanding each other's perspectives. And when you learn the skills to do that, then you can take those skills home and start to replicate them at home on a daily basis. And that's one of the great things about couples counseling. It teaches you how to honor each other's perspective, how to voice your perspective in a healthy, mature way, and then allows you to communicate, so we can put those perspectives together to create understanding. And understanding is what creates relationship. Now, number two, the benefits of couple counseling, it increases the ability to communicate in healthy, mature ways. In other words, not only do it allows us to create understanding, you gotta be able to communicate in a way that's healthy and mature in order for that to happen. So couples counseling can teach you the skills and tools on how to communicate in a healthy, mature way. Now, the work that we do is more of a coaching model, and we actually teach couples emotional regulation skills. We teach them communication skills. We teach them listening skills. We teach them the skills for problem solving. We actually teach you the skills for how you bond and relax and attach, how you really connect and keep on a bond attachment. And here's a key. We actually also teach you, excuse me, we also teach you how to bond and stay connected in the midst of conflict. In other words, how can we value each other's perspective and hear each other and create understanding so that the relationship is not destroyed, but we still solve that issue. And couples counseling allows you the ability to learn the skills and tools to increase your ability to communicate in a healthy, mature way, so you can protect the relationship from conflict and solve the problems if it's solvable. Some problems in marriages are not solvable. They're just unsolvable problems. That's a whole nother conversation for another day. So if I say that's what research shows. So we can communicate. Now, the third benefit of couples counseling is not just that I'm able to create understanding of each other's perspective, that I can communicate in a healthy, mature way because I learned how to do that. It also means I can learn to solve a problem so that the benefit of counseling is I solve a problem. It increases my ability to solve problems in a way that us wins. You've got to be able to hear each other's perspective. You got to be able to communicate your thoughts and opinions and views about what you see. But then if you still understand and care how it is for each other and still disagree, you got to be able to solve the problem. Now, this is important. You never solve a problem until you understand the problem. Do you get that? You never solve a problem until you understand the problem. You ever been in an argument, and in the midst of the argument, it gets kind of heated, and there's frustration. You're not really listening to each other because you're both trying to get your point across, and us is being undone the whole time. And then tension's there, there's not agreement, and you're trying to get agreement, you're trying to get understanding, but it's not working. And all of a sudden, somebody goes, why don't we just do this? And they just throw out a solution. And then you go, let's do that. So you both agree to do whatever that solution was, and it stops the conflict. So somebody threw out a solution you both agreed to. You ever notice that within a week or two, you're arguing about it again? Wait a minute, I thought we solved this thing. Didn't you both agree to do this? Well, yeah. Why are you still arguing about it? Here's why. Throwing out a solution was actually a way to avoid the conflict. It was a way to shut it off. And the reason you're still arguing about it, the solution that was thrown out The solution that was thrown out was based on a misunderstanding of the issues for both of you. It was only an attempt to stop the negative discord and to shut the conversation down. So the solution that was offered was based on a misunderstanding of the issues for each of you. One or both do not really understand the other person's perspective about that issue. And we weren't able to communicate, articulate it so that you could. So you threw out a solution. You've got to listen and understand in order to solve a problem and to solve it well. Now, what percentage of problems in a marriage would you think are actually unsolvable? Unsolvable. The answer, based on the work of John Gottman and his research, which is brilliant research, by the way, is 68%. 68% of problems in a marriage are actually unsolvable. There's just not a solution to them. You may ask, well, what are unsolvable problems? Unsolvable problems are things where we disagree because of culture, because of experiences, because of different ways of thinking, because of different belief systems. All right. Those are just differences. And sometimes we need to respect the differences and really recognize that difference is just difference. And because differences are differences, some of the solutions just aren't, some of the things we argue about aren't solvable. Get used to it. But here's what Gottman's research shows around what he calls masterful couples. Masterful couples, when it comes to unsolvable issues in their marriage, they do not let the unsolvable problem destroy the relationship, the marriage. They just negotiate around it. Why? Because they're mature enough and recognize, I would rather have the relationship than win an argument or be right or be wrong. We're just different in this area. Because we're different in this area, we can respect each other's differences and still choose to have an us. I have found that's mature. My wife and I don't agree on a lot of things, and that's all right. But one thing I've learned is don't let those things we disagree on, the unsolvable problems in particular, don't let those destroy us. We can be mature enough to just negotiate around those. Why? Because we'd rather have the love. We'd rather have the friendship. We'd rather have the relationship than win an argument that's really unwinnable. And so one of the benefits of couples counseling is it allows you to solve problems in a way that us wins. Us wins. And the counselor, as they taught you how to communicate and they teach you how to solve problems, the counselor becomes a healthy mediator, coach, if you will, for both of you. So you learn how to do that. And think about it this way. When a couple comes in and I have coached them how to communicate and how to solve a problem, and all I do is coach them, teach them what to do different, and they themselves, by doing that, solve the problem on their own. I've just become a coach, show them how to get there, and they solve the problem. Something happens inside of them. This sense of, we did this. This sense of, we actually solved the problem and dealt with something. Or we actually talked about this in a way that wasn't destructive and it felt good. That in that moment gives them a sense of hope that they can make it. They have the ability. Another benefit of couples counseling is it deepens the relational intimacy and the connection. I call it a sense of us. It deepens the intimacy, not sexual intimacy, but it will do that as well. It deepens the relationship connection. It deepens the vulnerability. It deepens the sense of emotional openness to each other. It deepens the friendship. It deepens the bond. I grew up in a home where there wasn't a long, strong, healthy marriage, and I grew up in a home where wasn't strong, healthy bonds either. So I went into my adult life never really having a healthy, deep connection. Didn't really know what it was. Never had it with my dad and my stepmom, and I was raised in my biological mother and my stepfather, and I did. So when I got married 37 years ago, I didn't know how to have a healthy relationship. I had to learn it later. And I realized I had a lot of baggage that got in my way of deeper levels of relational intimacy and connections. So one of the other benefits of couples counseling, it teaches us the skills and the tools to build a healthy bond, a great healthy attachment. There are 10 relational needs that were identified by Dr. David Ferguson in his work many years ago. Those needs, when met, create deeper levels of intimacy. When they're not met, you're in pain. You see, when they're met, you're in pleasure. It's real simple how the brain works. Yet at the same time, to the degree that I carry a sense of brokenness or woundedness or fears or anger, those things from my own past inhibit my ability to create a healthy, loving, nurturing, tender relationship. And so if you want to have a healthy relationship, couples counseling teaches you how to do that and what the needs are that must be met. We identify them as in the acronym KRC, A to the fifth power, RES squared. All right. The C is comfort. There's 5 A words. We all need comfort. We need attention and acceptance and appreciation and approval and affection. We need respect. We need encouragement. And 2 S words, we need security support. Those 10 relational needs are hardwired into the emotional brain. When you're born, they're with you to the day you die. When those needs are met, you feel love. When they're not met, you feel unloved. It's real simple. And couples counseling allows you to identify your own relational needs, the needs of your partner, and how to meet each other's needs in a way that communicates to them, I love you and value you. So you have that deep feeling and bond, the intimacy, the love, so that us can thrive. And another thing that couples counseling does, the last thing is, and I kind of alluded to it in this past one, couple counseling promotes self-growth and self-awareness. Self-growth. We get to grow emotionally. We get to grow in maturity. We get to grow in emotional regulation. I get insight into how my past has affected my present and what's taking place in me from my past that's playing itself out in the present day. In other words, in every relationship, there's me, there's Luella, and there's us. I come to the marriage with my own belief systems, my values, my hurts and pains, and my pleasures. Luella comes to the relationship with those things. And based on the strength of us as individuals, that will dictate whether us will be strong or not. You think about it, in every us, the letter U and S, right? The first letter of us is U. I came up with a seminar years ago that I still do. It's called the You in Us. And the idea in that seminar is the healthier you are as a person, maturely, emotionally, the healthier us can be, because us can't be healthier than you are as a person. If you're still emotionally a child and your spouse is an emotional child, you're not going to have really strong, healthy us. Why? Because 2 emotional children can't build a healthy, strong us. Only mature adults can. And so one of the benefits of couples counseling allows both of you, in a sense, to take a look in the mirror and see what you brought with you from your past that are playing themselves out in the present that inhibit the ability to communicate, to solve problems, to emotionally regulate, so that you can build a healthy, strong us. A lot of those things from our past inhibit our ability to really connect and bond. Example, practically through my life. I grew up in a broken home with divorce and abuse. But one of the things I learned by experience growing up as a kid, by watching and observing things, I learned this. In life, you can't trust people to stay. What I learned as a kid growing up in a broken home, latchkey, was people are going to leave you, people will abandon you, and guess what? Get used to it. So unconsciously, when I got married, I brought that unconscious belief system into the marriage, and I realized about 10, 15 years in marriage that I expected my wife to leave me. Why not? I want to leave. That's what I noticed all my life. And because I expected her to leave me, because that's my experience in life, I would do things that would push her out the door or set myself up to stay disconnected. So if she did leave, it wouldn't hurt so bad. Now, and all that was actually unconscious to me. All right. But in counseling, I get to look at those parts of me. I get to look at those fears. I get to look at my resentments, my angers and hurts from my past. Not so I can just resolve them for me, But so that those things are not impacting me on a daily basis, I can grow and heal from those. Why? So that I can give to the marriage in a healthy, mature way. I grew up in a home where there was no us, and I'm not going to live that way as an adult, right? And so I would rather have a strong, healthy us and do whatever it takes to have that healthy us. And that's why humility is a better way to live life. Humility allows me to look at myself and see myself as I really am. And guess what I learned in my own personal growth? I was manipulative. I was emotionally a child. I was controlling. I was very insecure and very fearful. I didn't like a lot of those things. But counseling, coaching, getting input from others allowed me to see those truths. Didn't like them. And I had to embrace them as real. Don't run from them. And then I was able to ask, once I embraced them as real, is that the way I want to be? And then I was able to move to become the person that I wanted to be, because I wasn't running from who I am or how I saw myself. I could then go create the person that I really wanted to be. And that's the great benefit. It promotes self-growth and self-awareness. So here are the 5 benefits of couples counseling. Number 1, it increases your understanding of each other's perspectives. I can hear your perspective. Are you saying this? Yeah, that's what I'm saying. 2, it increases your ability to communicate in healthy, mature ways. 3, it increases your ability to solve problems and find a solution that works for the sake of us. Number 4, when that happens, your relational intimacy and deep connection and bond goes deeper. And couples counseling can teach you the skills and the tools to create that. And lastly, couples counseling promotes self-growth and self-awareness so that I am the healthiest, most mature version of myself over time, so I can give to that sense of usness in a healthy, mature way. And those are about 5 benefits of couples counseling. If you spend all your time looking back in couples counseling and you're not learning the skills, what to do different today to create the tomorrow you want, find someone who's going to teach you how to do that. It's one of the things we do at Relate Well. In our counseling, in our coaching, yeah, we honor what happened. We understand what happened in your past, but we also understand this. You have to live today. Let's learn what you do different today so you can create the relationship that you want tomorrow. This is Dr. Rick. Thanks for listening, and I hope in some small way this benefits you. And if we can serve you, look for us at relatewell.us. That's relatewell.us. We do couples coaching. We do marriage intensive. We do group intensives for broken marriages. We call those Hope for Us weekends. But don't stay stuck. If your current counselor is not working, check us out. We'll show you how to get you unstuck and moving to create the relationship that you both want. Blessings. Have a great day, everyone.